Broken to Brave, Episode 3, Number 5, Let Go. I remember the first time I consciously let go. I was behaving badly, acting out, tantruming, wanting to cry and kick stuff, basically acting like a 3-year-old. I realized in that moment that those behaviors came out whenever I was trying not to feel something painful, or if I was avoiding something that I didn't want to face. I separated myself from the situation and went and sat alone on my bed and just let the feelings wash over me. It was terrifying at first. I was avoiding it for a reason, right? Feelings can be so big and scary. I kept coming back to the fear that the feelings would sweep me away. I sat in the fear. I didn't hide from it and I let it come. At first it felt like panic, so I breathed and reminded myself that I was safe and supported. Once I was open to the feelings, I was able to tap into what was bothering me. In this case, I was afraid that I had gone backwards in my healing process and would have to start over. I felt like all the work I had done over the years was a sham. I felt like I had simply covered over the feelings and pushed myself through it without actually healing. It was scary and frustrating to think that I had to start over. I then picked up the wee book and was reminded that healing is not a straight line. It's a revisiting, not a regression. And sometimes you have to experience it many times before healing comes. I wrote that down. I took it in, and I reminded myself of that daily, sometimes many times a day for a while, until I got good enough at it. Sometimes bravery is revisiting something over and over again. Episodes of Broken to Brave are released every Tuesday and Thursday. Thank you so much for listening and for joining me on this journey of healing and growth. If you want to go deeper into this story and hear it from a spouse's perspective, my husband and I have a Patreon-only show where we have an extended, behind-the-scenes discussion of every episode, which also posts twice a week. Here's a sample of the Patreon-only show. I've avoided pain my whole life. I don't want more.
Right.
Thank you.
So the prospect of saying, okay, I know I'm getting triggered. I know there's pain here, and I'm going to go stare into that void until I understand it. That's a very scary, brave thing.
Yep, that was a hard one.
Yeah, so number 5 on this list is not small potatoes, even though listening through, it might feel like, okay, well, I sat in this and then I moved on to the next thing. Nope, we're talking, this is like a boulder sitting in the road that you had to go, I'm getting through that boulder one way or another here.
Or it felt more like on the Looney Tunes. Was it Looney Tunes with Roadrunner? Yeah. It felt to me like there was an anvil over my head. And if I looked up at it, it was going to fall on me. You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
Like it almost feels like it's going to crush me. This is going to crush me.
It is like Looney Tunes. You watch the coyote runs and he gets under the anvil and he stops and freezes.
Yeah.
And it's not until it doesn't fall on him until he looks at it.
Until you look at it, which is always so like.
And that's how it felt to you.
I think I got screwed over by Looney Tunes, but that's what it felt to me like. That if I look at it, it's going to crush me, and as opposed to if I look at it, I can take away its power.
I can step out of the way of it, or I can catch it.
Or I can minimize it.
I can control it somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to have crippling anxiety and social phobia and all of that. And I remember getting to the point where I could envision it like envision my anxiety almost like a rock.
Yeah.
I could get it to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller when I acknowledge it. When I would always say to myself, what do I know to be true? Well, I know this to be true. Okay. So like if we look
I use that phrase all the time.
Yeah.
When I'm starting to feel it, if I'm out working and I feel like it's going nowhere, I'm like, no, wait, what do I know to be true?
Because I always say it, right?
And it really helps.
And so what I've told friends, I've told kids, I tell people all the time that have anxiety that, like, if you could just look at what it is that you're scared of. And so, like, so right now we're dealing with coronavirus, with COVID-19, and I'm a high risk because I have asthma. Right. And I just have had the flu within the last month, and that has compromised me a little bit more, whereas before I wouldn't have been as worried because I haven't had asthma in a while, but the flu seemed to make it activated, and we have bad dust allergies right now in our community. And, so I'm a little concerned about my health and well-being. And so I could look at coronavirus and go, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, this is going to happen. And all of this is, and everything's crazy. But if I just stop and ask myself, what do I know to be true about this? It's like, okay, if I keep my hands washed, if I try not to touch my face as much, I'm not supposed to touch it at all, but like, that's just not going to happen.
We're now staying home.
Yeah. And now I'm self-quarantining, I'm isolating, and we take precautions everywhere, with everything we're doing. And I can keep making that smaller and smaller and smaller till it can fit in my hand.
Right.
And then I can put it in my pocket. And then I can go, my anxiety's right here with me, but it's not. I
still have a buddy, but it's not
taking
me.
Over me. And it's not so big that I can't hold it in my hand.
Right.
And so I just ask myself, what do I know to be true? And then I write out all the things where I say them out loud. Well, I know this to be true. Well, I know this.
To hear the rest of this episode and get other exclusives, become a patron to Broken to Brave at patreon.com. You can also follow my blog at brokentobrave.com for even more insights and engaging content. Links are in the show notes. Broken to Brave is a production of Southgate Media Group, hosted and written by me, Martha Southgate. Thank you so much for listening. Now go do something brave.